If everything in your life feels urgent lately, there's a reason for that. But what's actually happening is your time is being redirected over and over again by whatever shows up with the most amount of pressure. And that type of pressure makes people very predictable. So now you're doing everything right on paper, but your goals aren't actually moving forward. If everything in your life feels urgent lately, there's a reason for that. And it's not because everything actually matters as much as it feels. Urgency is what decides where your time goes. And once something feels urgent, you don't evaluate it, you respond. You stop what you were doing, you shift your focus, and you give that thing your energy. And it doesn't feel like a problem because it feels like you're handling responsibilities, you're staying on top of things, you're being a responsible adult. But what's actually happening is your time is being redirected over and over again by whatever shows up with the most amount of pressure. And if you haven't watched my latest video, go watch that one first because I broke down how this pattern starts and why so many Black women end up giving our energy away to things that don't actually build the life that we want. And this video is what happens after that. So let me slow down for a second because what's happening here is very specific. It's not just that things feel urgent. It's how urgency is being created and where it's coming from. Because if you pay attention, a lot of what feels urgent in your life isn't random. Because again, when something feels urgent, you don't think, you respond. And that type of pressure makes people very predictable. You move faster, you question less, and you default to what you've always done. And that's what makes urgency a very powerful tool to utilize because it directs your time without you ever stopping to ask why. So now, from this place, your decisions aren't being made with intention or with clear direction. They're being made from a place of pressure. And that's very different types of decision making. It becomes what needs attention, what feels immediate, and what relieves the tension fastest. And over time, that replaces something critical. You stop choosing things that actually move you closer to your goals, and you start prioritizing what keeps things from falling apart. And I know that may sound crazy. You may be thinking, well, of course, I don't want things to fall apart. But I want you to remember that our brains are wired to protect our nervous system. Some things that we're maintaining should actually fall apart. Because if you're maintaining something and it's not actually getting you to where you want or need to be, it's not actually working. And this is where most of us don't look deeper because this pattern doesn't just affect you. The way you move directly impacts the environment around you. So your ability to respond quickly keeps things functioning that don't actually return leverage back to you. And because the situation showed up as urgency, it doesn't look like anything is being taken from you. It looks like responsibility, and it feels like the only option you have. So now you're doing everything right on paper, but your goals aren't actually moving forward because your time is being spent maintaining things instead of building the life you deserve. So you get no relief, no leverage, and no real change. Just movement without direction. And over time, that costs you more than you realize. It costs you years of effort that never compound in your favor, energy that goes out but never comes back to you, and a life that stays full of responsibility but never expands into relief. So let's be clear. I'm challenging the way that we respond to urgency because not all urgent situations are actually urgent. False urgency shapes so much of how we move and what we respond to, and that's what we need to address. So, what actually changes this? It's definitely not doing more. And contrary to what you might think, it's not managing your time better. It's actually slowing down in the exact moment that something feels urgent and asking, do I actually need to handle this right now? Ask yourself, what would actually happen if I didn't respond immediately. Because most of the time, nothing actually falls apart and nothing is actually lost. And once you see that, you begin to realize that in many instances, you're not deciding from clarity, but you're moving instead from a place of reactivity. And once you stop reacting automatically, you start choosing with intention what actually gets your time. And that's the shift. Because now you're not just keeping things going, you're actually building something for yourself. So if you're a Black woman who is starting to see this clearly and you're realizing how often your time and energy has been pulled away from you into things that don't actually move your goals forward, subscribe to the channel. Because everything I break down here is about helping you recognize these patterns in real time. And we do this so that your time, your energy, and your decisions actually start working for you. And if you see yourself in what I just described, don't just keep moving blindly through the same cycle, because that's exactly how your time keeps getting used up without you seeing any real change. And if you want to change this pattern, then you have to see where your time and energy are actually going right now. You need to be able to see what's taking from you more than it's giving back and what's actually moving you closer to accomplishing your goals. That's why I created what I call the orientation map for Black women. It shows you clearly where your time is being spent, what is costing you, and the first step to shifting things back in your favor. So if you're ready to stop leaking energy, time, and attention without realizing it, start here. And I've left the link below in the description of this video. And if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I get it, but I don't actually have another option, you're not alone in that thought. But that belief is what's actually keeping this cycle locked in place. So in the next video, I'm going to break down why survival starts to feel like the only option and how to start shifting things without putting yourself in a worse position. Because that's the part most of us never get past. And remember, this isn't about doing more. It's about finally seeing what's been shaping your life and how to choose differently. Black women first.